Hey everyone, welcome to Our Small Footprint. My name is Nyssa. If you're new here, we are a large family living off-grid in Australia. It is late today, it is 3:15, but what I'm doing at the moment is going to be a 2-day thing anyway, so I just didn't rush it. I wet brined and cooked a couple of kilos of chicken, so we had chicken to eat. I didn't record any of that. And I think other than 1 or 2 more plates to be done on 3D printers, I have pretty much finished every order. I need to put some decals on a couple of cups that need to be boxed, but everything will be posted Monday morning, fingers crossed. Other than, I know even the advent calendars that got ordered late should go out by Monday morning. And then I'm going to go shopping Tuesday or Wednesday. So I wanted to get everything done by Monday. So I just laser cut the last of the family trees. I've got 1 sheet of stars left, and I think I've got 2 plates left on the 3D printers over the weekend. I'm actually looking forward to being finished all the orders because there's a few things that the kids would like and I would like to print for the machines and some maintenance and stuff. And I haven't been able to do it because it's all been too busy, so I'm looking forward to that. Anyway, what we're going to make today and over today and tomorrow is some jelly snack type stuff. Now I have a printout here of the recipe. This is just from Taste. I don't know how well you can see it, but they're little domed chocolate jelly things. So made with gelatin and stuff, but made chocolate flavored, and then he put little white chocolate drizzle on them. I got Darryl to get me some mini M&Ms, and we've got some Christmas leaves and stuff, so I just thought that was really cute. But while I'm making that, I also have seen around for months now the coffee jelly, where you set the coffee jelly into a mug and then you break it up and you pour some sweetened cream over it, and that sounds really delicious. I might actually try making 2 different batches of that, one with allulose and one with sugar, and see if how that works, so that Darryl can try the keto one as well and see if that works out all right. Allulose is pretty good about being dissolved and things like that, so it should work okay. So I bought these molds for the chocolate ones, and the recipe says that it fills 6, and I've got 16 here. So I'll make a double batch, we'll see how it goes. I also don't know that I have any biscuits, like these ones have a biscuit base for putting in them as well. I might have a look at if the Oreos will fit. Maybe I need to split them and scrape the cream off to use, and I can just keep the cream to use in the Oreo truffles that we're going to make. Because the recipe calls for chocolate ripple biscuits, but we used all the chocolate ripple biscuits for Sonnet's chocolate ripple cake thing that she bought. Darryl is actually in town at the moment. I could get him to grab something, but I don't know if I will. I'll have a look at the Oreos and the size. When I bought these molds, I tried to get the right size to what it says. It asks for a 6-hole 100 ml 7 centimeter diameter mold, so I'm not sure. But we do have some Oreos. I'm not sure size-wise though. See, I think they're going to be a lot smaller than...
No, that's a perfect size.
So I might have to get Dad to get some chocolate ripple biscuits while he's in town.
I'll just eat these.
And then they go on top. I messaged him to get those biscuits because I want it to work, and I think that the size-wise the Oreos won't work. They'll sink into the jelly. So let's start with the coffee one. Now I looked up a whole bunch of different ratio recipes for it, and I think it really depends on the gelatin you're using too, because the true Japanese one they use so it says 1 tablespoon to 200 mils of water for this, 2 to 3 tablespoons to 1 cup of boiling water, then add 1 cup of water to it. So 2 to 3 tablespoons to 1 cup. So we're going to look at that on ratios here of what we've got. So a lot of these, I wrote down a whole bunch of different measurements. So like this one's got 1 cup of boiling water with 1 cup of cold water with 3 teaspoons of gelatin, which is about a tablespoon, and 2 to 3 teaspoons of instant coffee, 1/3 of a cup of sugar. We might use this one as a starting point because we just want that amount. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to boil the kettle first. All right, we're set up. Now, I found these cups. It's funny. When we moved out here originally, 7.5 years ago, we rented a shipping container and we packed everything into the shipping container, and then we had it out here for while we were, doing what we were doing. My kettle lever to hold the lid up has broken. And because of that, there was a lot of stuff that got stored just in those shipping containers for a long time, because we didn't have to do anything with it. And then when we returned to the shipping containers, we brought a whole bunch of stuff inside and got rid of a whole bunch of stuff because we just didn't really know what to do with anything. So then some of the stuff got brought inside. So these were still wrapped in butcher's paper from what I assume was when we first moved out here. So they're little IKEA jars, and they will work well for this because from what I've seen, there's options. You can either set the jelly in a pan and cut it into cubes, or you can set it in the cup and then you pour your sweetened cream over the top and you break up the jelly in the cup and then eat it with a spoon. And I really like that idea. So we've put a cup of hot water, boiling water in here, 3 tablespoons of gelatin. I want it fairly firm, so I've done 3. It might be a little more firm than I'd like, but we're going to go with 3. I've got 1/3 of a cup of coconut sugar because that's all I've got at the moment until I go shopping again, that we're going to dissolve in this boiling water as well. Possibly could have put the sugar and water in a pot and boiled it together before adding the gelatin to make sure that it was dissolved, but coconut sugar dissolves pretty easily and so does allulose, so I think it should be fine. Alright, we also need our instant coffee, which it says 2 to 3 teaspoons of instant coffee. I'm going to go light. I'm going to do 2 because this is going to end up being 2 1-cup servings, and 2 seems like a good amount. It's instant coffee. Instant coffee can be awfully bitter, so we'll try 2. If this works out well, it's a pretty easy thing to make, so pretty easy to make again. So we've got 2 teaspoons, 3 tablespoons of gelatin, cup of boiling water. Now we have to, and it's all dissolved, now we have to add a cup of cold water, or what is the effect of cold in this house when it comes out of our taps and Berkeys. And we've got just a coffee liquid here, which is what we're after. So then the plan is to pour it equally into these 2 cups. Now the other thing that was good about these cups is that we've got 2 different colours. So I will pour the sugar one in the blue and the sugar-free one in the orange, and we can try them out both ways. It's all smooth, all dissolved, so now I'm just going to pour in equally. It might be more than 2 of these because I don't want to do too big a serves. I don't know. How much do we want of it? I think we're going to end up with 3 serves out of it. I don't think I want 2. And there's very little left in the bottom, so it did all dissolve nicely, which is good. A couple of little gritty bits, which is fine. But I've split it into 3. So I'm going to put some cling wrap on these and get them on a baking tray in the fridge, but I'm going to mix up the other one as well. So while I've still got boiling water, so we can do the same thing. We can do a cup of boiling water. I need to find some more cups, mind you. Cup of boiling water, 3 tablespoons of gelatin, like that, and these tablespoons are 15ml tablespoons, so it's probably, and this is an Australian gelatin, so I assume it's working on Australian tablespoon measurements, which are 20ml, so 3 15ml ones should be around about right. So we're dissolving the gelatin. Then we're going to do 1/3 of a cup of the allulose sweetener. which is a 1-for-1 sugar replacement. We're going to do our 2 teaspoons of coffee. Get this all nice and dissolved. That allulose is a really nice fine grind too, which works well for dissolving. And then we want a cup of cooler water. Now let me just check if I've got a couple more of these cups, which I probably should because there's always been 8 of us, so you'd think that I would have bought potentially 8 of them. So let me have a look. I didn't find any more of those, but I did find these, which will work. It's just a pity that I've got this orange one is going to be different, though this one doesn't have a side label and that one does, so I'll use that to memorize it, I think. So we're just going to pour this one between these 3 containers. These little mason jar handle things are actually kind of neat for this purpose. Alright, so we have those 3 and these 3. I'm going to put covers on them on a baking tray and into the fridge, and we will see how they set up and taste. Very much just a, as I said, it's Christmas, so I'm using that as an excuse to try these things that I've seen around and haven't got around to trying because just don't need to, but really wanted to. So we're going to do this, all right? And then we're going to come back to the chocolate ones next. All right, so Darryl is bringing me home some chocolate ball biscuits. So let's get started on the chocolate jelly, and then we'll be able to do that afterwards. So I'm going to do a double batch. So we want 125 mils of water, half a cup of water. For the gelatin, I'll do 1 cup because we'll double this. 1 cup, and then gelatin. It wants a tablespoon of gelatin, which makes sense in this one because there's melted chocolate as well to help harden it up. So we'll put 2 tablespoons of gelatin in here to bloom. All right. Then it wants me to the sugar and water in a saucepan over medium heat to dissolve it. So we will grab now we could potentially use boiling water like I did before, but we are going to add chocolate to it afterwards to melt, so it makes sense to boil it. So we've got, what do we want? We want 1 cup is the recipe, so we're going to double it, and I'll use the pre-boiled water because it'll just make it quicker to come up to heat. Alright, so 2 cups, and how much sugar does it want? It wants 110 grams of caster sugar. Now we're using coconut sugar. It's just means that I think my scales are inside where I was doing parcels again. Alright, couldn't find my scales, so I've just used the Thermomix scales. So we've got 220 grams of sugar in here. We're using coconut sugar. It's going to affect the color a little bit, but it's chocolate, so it doesn't really matter. So double batch, 2 cups of water, 220 grams of caster sugar. We're going to bring this up to a simmer before we add the chocolate. So just bring this up to a simmer, dissolve that sugar well, and make it really nice and warm for putting the chocolate into, so that the chocolate dissolves nicely. Now this is actually put in the fridge for a little bit to be slightly thickened, which I think is to hold that whole balancing the biscuit on, which I hadn't realised. I only just read that in the recipe then, so that makes sense. So it'll be fine. Should all work out with Darryl coming back with the biscuits that I need. So we will pour this into the gelatin mixture, we'll mix it up, and we'll put it in the fridge for 15 minutes or whatever, giving it a stir, and then we will pour it into the molds. So a couple of steps. As said, this, I actually think I've had this bookmarked or printed or whatever since, like, I think I was going to do it last Christmas and I didn't. Part of that was that we weren't doing dairy last Christmas now, so it needs really to look like a pudding. It needs the little white chocolate thing on the top, which I didn't want to do at the time, and I'm happy to do with the dairy that we're consuming now. So yeah, it's fiddly, but that's the whole point of these videos, isn't it? Is to have an excuse to do some of these fiddly things that I wouldn't always do. These multi-step, silly little recipes. Considering I try and keep things as simple as possible in general when I'm eating and stuff, you know. Anyway, so this is starting to bubble all around the edges. I don't want it to boil because I don't think that that's a great thing. It'll go very syrupy when you're boiling sugar and water. So we just want to get it really nice and hot so that the chocolate will melt. Though it says to bring it to the boil and then remove it from heat. Interesting. All right, well, we'll get it up to a rolling sort of a simmer, bubbling well, and then we'll add the chocolate. All right, so we've got it bubbling. Now it says to add 200 grams of chocolate for this batch. These bags are 225. I'm not pulling 25 grams out. So now we're going to mix this through until it's blended and the chocolate is melted. I think this sounds super interesting. The whole jelly factor, but with the melted chocolate in it too. And yeah, I think this sounds really cool. I think this is one that will be really effective, especially if I'm going to go the effort to actually put the red mini M&Ms. Oh no, the children will have to sort the M&Ms so that I have red ones. What will they do with the rest of them? So anyway, all right, that chocolate all seems to be dissolved. So now we're going to pour it over the top of the gelatin and get that nice and smooth. There is a few bits of chocolate, but really, is that an issue? Like, I know, not quite a smooth texture jelly with little bits of chocolate, but really it's chocolate. So all right, so that all seems to be blended. So now all I'm going to do is stick it in the fridge. That's what the instructions say. Stick it in the fridge. It says, what does it say? Place in the fridge, stirring occasionally for 30 to 40 minutes or until slightly thickened. So that's what we're going to do. And then hopefully Darryl's leaving town now, so he's about 30 minutes away, so that should work out timing-wise perfectly. And then we will pour it into the moulds and put our biscuits on the top as the base. And yes, I was questioning how the biscuits would sit. If it was thin, the biscuits would just sort of sink. But that's why we're letting it thicken slightly first. So I will bring you back. All right, it's been in the fridge for over an hour. 30 to 40 minutes, and it's not really much thicker. So I don't know. The biscuits are going to fit right on top, and I feel like they'll sink because it's not. But it's also almost 6:30 at night, and I want to get it done and in the fridge. So we're going to give it a go. So the recipe said 30 to 40 minutes or until slightly thickened. It's been in the bottom of the chest fridge, which runs colder than a standard fridge. And this is where we're at. So shall we just go ahead and see what happens? Now I assume we want about that level, and then okay, they're going to float, so that'll work.
Which way do you want them?
Flat side up.
I ate one of these when I made the cake. It tastes really good.
They're a good chocolate biscuit. Now the chocolate is very bitty too. I think if I was to make this again, I would probably add the chocolate while it's still heating. I did use melts rather than baking chocolate though, because that's just happened to be what I had. And I don't know if that's going to make a difference or not. I bought these enamel trays, Black Friday sale, which I'm going to use as like fridge freezer trays for when I'm freezing fruit and things like that, so I'm not losing my baking trays. That actually filled those 16 exactly, which is pretty cool. So we're going to put some cling wrap over this so it doesn't get fridge smells, and then I'm going to stick them in the fridge, and then I'll bring you back tomorrow when they're set. Alrighty, it is the next day. These are hopefully set. We used a cup on the molds to stop them from getting stuck to the cling wrap. I've got some white chocolate in a double boiler on the stove, melting. Sonnet went through a bag of mini M&Ms for me and grabbed out some red ones, and we have some little jelly leaves as well. So let's see how this goes. Let's hope that we can just sort of get about, like squish them out. Now these have a flat bottom on them, these molds, which is not a bad thing, but is not really pudding like. You'd expect them to have rounded bottoms on them, but we're going to decorate them anyway, so I don't think it's really going to show up too much. They are coming out a little bit. I reckon I could have used a little bit more gelatin in the jelly just to make them a little firmer, because we're handling them as much as we are with the whole decorating thing. Like if you were just eating them out of whatever they were set in, it wouldn't be such a big deal, but because we're eating them out of we're handling them, we're popping them out of molds and then we're going to decorate them, I reckon they could have been done with being just a little bit firmer, especially in the temperatures that are here. So all I'm doing, I've found, is massaging this mold a little bit, and it starts to come away on its own, and then that way I don't have to put too much pressure on anything. Two more. Now the other packet did have a little bit of an accident. When they were being put in the fridge, there was something dropped on them, so they're not going to be as pretty to pull out, but they're still going to be perfectly edible. But we'll just do these ones for the moment as samples. All right, so not much is left behind, so that's pretty good. This one has a little bit of jelly that's come off the side. How about we use that as a taste test? That is weird. That is definitely weird. All right, so we've got our chocolate melting. Give me a second. I want to get it melted, but I also don't want it too hot because it's going to melt some of this as well. So I'm just going to get it mostly melted, and then I want to grab myself a spoon. All right, so we've got the melted white chocolate. I just want it to cool a little. I don't want to put it too hot onto the jelly. All right, now the fact that these are flat, I'm going to just, like normally if it was round, you'd sort of dollop it on the top and let it sort of flow. It's not going to work as well on these ones, so we're just going to, you want to put the leaves in the...
Do you just want one leaf?
I was going to put like two halves on around the...
I just need the M&M.
So Sonnet will put the M&Ms in the...
So 3 on each?
That was the idea. That's what the photo shows anyway. And then we'll quickly get these back in the fridge so that the chocolate doesn't melt the... Yep. And there's finger licking going on, but these guys are the ones who are eating them, so I'm not concerned.
It was just on my... I accidentally... Why isn't there any cherries on it?
It's supposed to be mistletoe. So the red is the mistletoe berries, and the leaves are the mistletoe leaves. Some will look better than others. You just have to figure out which way to work it.
Looks like an angry person. Doesn't it?
Yep. So we're going to quickly put these back in the fridge so that nothing melts, and then once they're set, I'll bring you back. All right, so this is the coffee jelly. It's all set up. It's pretty solid. The idea is that you just pour your cream on there and then you use a spoon or a knife or whatever to break it up, and you just eat it by the spoonful. Now, most people put some sort of like a sweetened condensed milk or something on there, but this coffee is the jelly has already been sweetened, and we don't actually sweeten our coffees very much, so I'm going to try it as is first. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of standard cream on top, like what we would do if we were having a normal coffee, and then a little bit of whipped cream. You can do whatever you want.
Swirl. This one doesn't turn out particularly well, mind you.
That's enough. So then all you're supposed to do is just sort of cut the jelly into little bits while and the cream's going to go through it. Now this jelly feels heaps firmer than the jelly that was in the chocolate things, like maybe too firm, but we're cutting it up into little bits and we're having it with the cream as the idea. So need a spoon. I think Sonnet's grabbing a spoon. But I definitely feel like this jelly might have had... there's one just there that can be washed. So we just...
You grabbing a spoon?
Yeah.
Now this is the one that actually has sugar in it. There is ones that are sugar free, but I think Darryl will just taste this one and we'll...
Oh, will I now?
But that's what it looks like. And we're going to give it a go.
It's like if you made coffee into jelly. That's right. It's like coffee, but jelly.
Fancy that. So is it a pleasant thing, or you don't know?
Could be a bit sweeter.
Could be a bit sweeter.
Yeah, that condensed milk thing might actually be...
There is some condensed milk in some homemade condensed milk in a jar in the fridge, I think.
It's not terrible, it could be a bit sweeter.
So it's definitely instant, like you can tell that it's instant coffee, not brewed coffee. Like it's got that slightly bitter undertone that instant coffee has, which is why I think it could be a bit sweeter. And I definitely think I would pull back on the gelatin just a little bit, make it a little bit of a softer jelly next time. But I think this is a really nice sort of a pick-me-up kind of thing. Like I like iced coffees and I like hot coffees and that sort of thing, but it gives another opportunity, like just something else that's coffee flavoured. I think it's pretty good. Do you want to try one with the allulose in it?
Sure.
It's in the...
Any way to mainline caffeine.
Any way to mainline caffeine, yes. So one of the containers with the handle in the fridge. One of the
containers?
And we'll mix up one of the allulose ones and just give it a go out of curiosity. But I think there's condensed milk in the fridge. Is there condensed milk in the fridge? I'll have a look.
So I've taken over the kitchen now.
I'll give him a mic.
Okay, I'll get the mic. I've taken over the kitchen. I apologise for my voice. It's nowhere near as good as hers. I don't have that calming tone. More nails on a chalkboard. So put a little bit of the cream on there. Then we squirted the rest of the cream like, oh, Sonnet! Take the spoon.
You can use the knife to cut it up first if you think
I
you need
use
to.
the knife. Well, I mean, I'm not sure how I'm doing that, mind you, with the cream extra creamed. It's the reason I'm not allowed near a kitchen. That's mixed up. Gonna give this a try. Compare it to the sugary one, which I shouldn't be eating. It's like coffee, but it's jelly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Could be a bit sweeter. Again,
Last time.
I don't need the condensed milk though. I mean, I like this.
Solid.
It's pretty solid too.
Yeah, so I definitely think that I would reduce the gelatin in this next time and just make it a little softer. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with it. These are all set up. Some, you know, the leaves fell off and some they didn't. Some look better than others, but they all look pretty cool. And theoretically, give me a spatula, please. There should... It's pretty cool. So...
The M&Ms do make it look like mistletoe.
The chocolate's hard and the jelly's soft and you can't cut through both without squishing it. That's not going to make for a very attractive photo.
Aww.
Just wanted to get a photo of the inside of it.
And there's a cookie.
And then, so the cookie on the bottom, and then we're going to taste test it. If you want to grab a spoon.
I will.
Let me set some up to take a photo. Definitely think I overdid the gelatin on the coffee ones and underdid it on these ones. So we will just wait. But this is what they look like, just a sec. So all in all, both interesting. The chocolate jelly is strange because it's got actual chocolate in it. It is definitely weird. I definitely would make it firmer because it does collapse as you're trying to cut through it and things like that. And then I would make the coffee jelly a little bit softer. I'd also halve the sizes of the coffee jelly. It was really nice. It was too much. So I would half the amount that we're making at a time, put them in something smaller. And obviously not make a double batch. Like I made one batch with allulose, one with sugar to compare the two, and they're both perfectly good. You could just use allulose and not have a problem whatsoever. So we probably will continue to do that when we make it so that it's sugar free, and just make more smaller servings because it just was too much in that bowl. But definitely an interesting thing to try. And again, it's Christmas, so it was an excuse. And yeah, it was, you know, it was definitely something different this particular cooking day.